Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to you all, from those down the road to the folks around the world. Welcome to an isolation chore that needs doing. Now, if you don't already know, I do what is known as reenacting, or I've heard other people call it recreationist or recreationer, whatever. Basically what that means is I take a period of history, in this case the 15th century, and I demonstrate to a paying public how life or combat would have been during that period. We go all across sort of southern England, from as far as Dover, right the way across to specific battlefield sites like Tewkesbury and Barnet, which are very much sort of in the period that I focus on in doing my reenactments. But of course, none of those events are happening this year because of this sort of COVID-19 issue. And one of the tasks that I always hate doing and try not to do is cleaning my armor, because it's a very painful and rather laboring task to do. But as I was running out of things to talk about this week, a lot of my plans that I was going to do for this week's video had been cancelled already. I decided that I would do this for views. You know, I'm cobbling this together, so hopefully it's interesting. You're not just gonna watch me cleaning. That would be very boring. I'm going to be talking about the different parts of the armor that I have, including bits that you cannot see right now. I assume you can see this sort of big pile, but honestly it's not that much. So without further ado, I will start cleaning, I suppose. Normally people are very meticulous about cleaning their armor. Some people will clean their armor after every fight, engagement, or demonstration that they do. Some will do it after the end of every day, and some will do it at the end of every weekend, or however long the event is taking place. This, for me, normally is done in the winter time. However, I am rather lazy about it, and again try not to get any of it rusty or dirty. It's mostly rust. It's not like there are patches of dirt or anything. It is literally just rust. And thankfully, I am rather careful about where I put my armor and in what weather conditions I put my armor on in. If it's raining, I really hate it, because that is the killer of armor. And as you can see on this sort of arm brace here, you can see there are just little patches of rust. You can see just here, and you know, a few bits there. There are a lot. This is comparatively cleaner compared to my helmet here, which has suffered a lot of dinks and hits over the coming years. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that, there are a lot more patches of rust than previously on the rest of it. Now this helmet and these legs that you can see in front here are a lot older than my arms. These arms are about a couple of years old, so these haven't really been cleaned over those 2 years, because again, I'm very particular and meticulous about not getting them wet and not getting them rusty. So I will be trying to scour off all of this rust using these sort of scouring blocks, and afterwards I will sort of brush them up, oil them up with some GT85 and some tape and some cloth. But in the sort of 15th century, I think you'd normally find that people would just oil them up with, I mean, they don't have GT85 in the 15th century, so you'd probably just see them oiling them up with any available oils that they had. A lot of armour actually would have been either painted or sort of given this sort of matte look that you can see with these legs. So it's not shiny like my arms, if you can see, look, it reflects the light pretty well, but these legs here are just a matted sort of colour, so it doesn't take the rust very well, but it still gets a little bit on there. As you can see on these legs, just move these things. Oh, these are the sets of legs. Now, this part, this leather part, and these sort of straps, the straps would go sort of, I wear them sort of like braces, and they sort of strap to my shoulders, and they go around, and there's a belt to them as well. And this part would usually, this part is sort of the upper portion of the leg, and they would normally be worn with a very heavy chainmail skirt, which are interlinking pieces of steel that have been sort of circularized and sort of bolted, or normally usually riveted together, but these are a lot more, I don't know if you can focus on that, you can see the little slits in there, so they are literally just plied together as little circles. So then you've got the rest of the leg, which is covering the knee portion, as you can rightly tell, and you have this sort of winged edge right here. This is a very sort of German style armour piece, and these wings allow for hits that are coming in to be stopped, and so that you're not going to get hits to the back of the leg, which are obviously unarmoured. The point of armour is to protect, but you have to be able to move around in it. So normally you would have bits of armour that protect most of the front of your body than the back, because you still have to bend your arms, move about, and swing swords. This helmet here as well is a very German style helmet, and it has the regular visor that we're used to seeing. And if I pop open that clip, because this has a handy little sort of clip thing here so that this doesn't sort of flap open, you can see it looks rather almost sort of Spartan designed, with this nasal tip right here, so that again, if swords are coming straight for you, they're going to catch this instead of severing your nose piece. And this is obviously, you can detach the visor with these little pins. I will do, because I need to clean this bit. You can detach the visor from the actual helmet, because although this is rather good for protection, and the only point of sort of entry for swords or arrows or whatever is this eye slot, it's a very minimal seeing. The very minimal seeing and protection, and these obviously breathing holes right here, that's what they're for. It's not just decoration, they're actually for breathing holes. A lot of other helmets are very different. Some are more like grates, and that are just sort of interweaved like a set of bars. Other helmets are literally open faced, so this basically, but without the nose. Some of them are wider, so that it's less of a sort of a T-shaped and more of a sort of open face, and that the majority of your head, except for your face, is covered. Some helmets are very similar to either like bowler hats or World War II or World War I, sorry, trench helmets, which are just the sort of buckets with the broad rims. They were more for archers and people that weren't necessarily in the thick of combat. Normally people with sort of knights and men-at-arms would be wearing sort of helmets like this that protect the face and protect the rest of you. These style of arms, I have a very cobbled together set of armour. So these are a lot of different styles, because these arms are sort of English styled arms. They are custom made for me, and they are only a couple of years old. You'll find that a lot of pieces of armour are either riveted together or they're tied together with these leather straps, these leather bits of thonging. And you can see at the back here that they are, there we go. You can see that these bits are, they're little tabs here that are riveted here but are tabbed together. So these pieces of armour are actually 3 separate bits, but they're tied together with these leather thongings. Now the point of armour is obviously to protect you. The point of it is to protect you, but the aim of any knight or any men-at-arms or any battlefield attendee is to try and dismantle the person's armour, because obviously it's very difficult, like with the wings on the legs, it's very difficult to get to those hard to get places. So obviously you can't get to the back of the knees so well, you can't necessarily get to the armpits well because you're wearing a brigandine, which I will pan to now. Now this is what I was talking about when I was discussing a brigandine. This is what I would typically wear on a demonstration field or a battlefield in particular. This is very much different to a regular breastplate. A regular breastplate is simply one solid piece of steel. You know, you've all seen it, you've all watched programs like Game of Thrones, and you've all seen other medieval or fantasy dramas. But with the brigandine, it is the exterior is leather, but the actual plating itself are small, sort of almost rectangular pieces that have been riveted together in sort of stacks, so that you get sort of extra protection between the layers, and you allow for more sort of flexibility and durability. Another good thing about the brigandine is that it is lightweight. With the breastplates, they are obviously one solid piece of metal, and also weigh very heavily on the shoulders, and you're not as physically able to go long distances, either for running or charging, whatever, and you can get tired just by simply wearing the armour. In fact, an average weight of armour back in the 15th century was about 6 to 7 stone. So with this, with the plates that are evenly distributed and stacked together, small, lightweight, same material, same sort of steel, but evenly distributed and more durable, it allows for more lightweight, doesn't sit so heavy on the shoulders, plus it wears more like a vest or a jacket than a breastplate, which again you'd have to sort of hold in, and then you'd have to do the rivets or the braces at the top, either by leather or other metal hinges. So this is very durable, very easy to fight in. The reason you don't necessarily see these in period dramas or in other shows from, say, like a medieval drama or whatever, is because these are very much of an English style. These are very much either English people or English knights would wear them. A lot of the breastplates are very continental. What is called Gothic style is very sort of German and excuse me. So these aren't necessarily seen as often as breastplates. So that's how we've sort of gained this perception that a lot of medieval knights or medieval combatees were wearing breastplates. And of course, when you're wearing one of these brigandines, you're not just wearing this over the top of, say, a linen shirt. You are wearing this on top of another thick layer of padding. You're wearing it with a padded jack, which is somewhat like an old style motorcycle jacket, except they're not made of leather. They're made of, regular materials, leather, linen or hessian, but they are stuffed to the bucket with wool. Now, I don't know if you've ever compressed or tried to stuff wool into a particular object, but if you put too much in, it becomes rock solid and almost like a brick. So when you're getting hit and when you're getting struck by something, by a sword or any other handheld weapon, not only does this brigandine distribute the weight evenly because of those plating, you also get the padding of the wool, which again also distributes the weight evenly and you're not getting a full-blown strike to, I don't know, the chest or the hip or wherever. You're getting a hit, and then it's sort of less impactful and evenly distributing itself, so you're not likely to get as hurt, and you're still able to, you know, deal with these hits and get back into the fight. So you can't necessarily get to those individual places. The brigandine would have been worn with these sets of shoulders, so you're not just, you know, you don't just have legs, a body and some arms, you also have protections on your shoulders. So it's you're supposed to try and get to difficult parts of the body, but failing that, you try and rip off or try and strike and tear or rip these leather straps, these leather thonging pieces, so that they sort of flap open and that it's all sort of almost broken, and then you can get to the strikeable parts of the body. Finally, you've got these sets of gauntlets here, which are, again, sort of in a German style. You can see these are individually articulated pieces, very much like the brigandine, but obviously for the fingers. They're obviously very much different styles of gauntlets. Some are completely encased, some have very little, next to no fingers, and are more like mittens. Others don't necessarily have this big sort of winged part at the top, like that, for sort of striking the wrist. It will just sort of glance off and glide off, hopefully. And obviously wearing a sort of leather glove underneath, because obviously you're not just wearing the solid metal, you're also wearing sort of under layers. As I mentioned with the brigandine, you're wearing under layers. Oh, one thing I have forgotten to mention is sort of all these little pieces here, which basically cover the armpits. Now you can see that it can look rather silly, and it can be cause for great amusement, but these are actually quite integral to protecting the armpits, again, which is another point of contact which you don't want to be getting hit on. Thankfully, most of my armour here that I can see is relatively clean. It's not too bad, so this job shouldn't take too much time. So I'm not gonna make you watch me clean. I'm probably gonna like zip it up to a fast speed, and you can see me scouring away and cleaning away. But yeah, I'll just get on with it, to be honest. So I do certainly hope that you have enjoyed what you've seen here, and I hope that you have potentially picked something up about what I do and about people that do this sort of thing as a hobby. I hope that the last sort of minute of me cleaning, or the sort of sped up minute of me cleaning, wasn't too painful, and that you can sort of see how difficult it can be to clean all this stuff. If you've liked what you've seen, please hit the like button, ring the notification bell, and you might even consider subscribing to this channel, where it won't just be me cleaning stuff. It'll be a mixture of things such as history, sort of potted histories, some roundups, some monthly roundups of some big stories over the past months. Obviously I didn't do one this month because of the whole COVID-19 thing. I'll also be doing some vlog style stuff, where I will be showing you what I get up to in a particular week. And yeah, if you want to make any comments about what I've been doing, if you want to share any sort of hints or things that you found out yourself, please drop a comment below about it, and I will get around to reading them. Well, I mean, there probably won't be many comments, so I will most definitely read them. Next week will be another random video of some description, so stay tuned for that. And from here, I will just say goodbye. I really need to clean my hands. See you later.